Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into some pretty exciting news for fans of a certain epic anime. One Piece is back.
That's right. The Egghead arc continues.
Exactly. Our info is coming from a report over on Hypermanga. And, for you listening, if you like keeping tabs on these huge cultural stories, this is, well, it's a fascinating look at how a massive series keeps evolving.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, I think, is that it's not just like hitting play again. We're seeing some pretty significant shifts this time around.
Totally. Changes in how it's presented, both in Japan and for the international fans.
hmm
So the Hypermanga article, it details the part 2 of the Egghead arc. It officially kicked off with episode 1123 overall. That was on April 5th, 2025.
Right. And they actually aired a recap of part one just before it, which was smart.
Super smart move. Helps everyone get back up to speed. That first showing was 9 p.m. Japan time, which, if you're on the U.S. East Coast, was a pretty convenient 8 a.m. start.
Yeah, that kind of simultaneous release plus the recap,
Great.
it really emphasizes how much they value that global audience now. It feels coordinated.
Definitely. Making sure everyone's ready for what's coming next, wherever they are.
Hmm.
But then the very next day, April 6th, things got interesting, scheduling-wise. Episode 1124 aired, but in a totally new time slot.
Yeah, 11:14 p.m. Japan Standard Time. So what's that? 10:15 a.m. Eastern.
Exactly. It's moved to Saturday night now, not Sunday morning like it's been for, well, forever. That feels like a pretty big deal, doesn't it?
It really does. Shifting from Sunday morning, which is, traditionally prime time for family anime in Japan, moving to late Saturday night. It raises questions.
Like, what kind of questions?
Well, are they trying to maybe capture a different crowd, like older teens or adults who are up later on a Saturday? Or maybe just avoiding clashes on Sunday morning? Could be a few things.
It definitely makes you wonder. And speaking of reaching people, the article confirms Crunchyroll has it.
Right, for the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Latin America. Pretty wide coverage.
Available right over that April 5th, 6th weekend. And again, if you needed to catch up, they dropped that big 83-minute recap special of Egghead Part 1, too.
They're really making it easy, aren't they? Lowering the barrier to entry. If you fell off or just need a refresh, boom, there it is.
Yeah, accessibility seems key. Now, okay, why the break in the first place? The article mentions back in October 2024, the anime paused to recharge. That's the word they use. Recharge. Yeah, that sounds about right for these long-running shows. The production pace is just relentless.
You figure the team needs a breather, right? Plan ahead, maybe.
Absolutely. Catch up on animation, ensure the quality stays high. It's pretty standard practice, actually. Avoid burnout, keep things sustainable.
But they weren't just, completely off during the break. They aired something called One Piece Log, Fishman Island Saga.
Oh, yeah. That condensed version of the Fishman Island arc. 21 episodes. But here's the interesting part. It wasn't just a re-airing. It had improved visuals, apparently reshot scenes, updated animation, kind of like a remaster.
Which is fascinating, right? It suggests that the break wasn't just about stopping. They were actively working on something.
So keeping the brand visible.
Yeah, keeping it visible, maybe testing out some updated animation styles, possibly attracting newer fans who like the polished look. It serves a few purposes.
Okay, so the show's back, but it's not quite the same show. We've got changes. First big one, a new opening theme.
Always a big moment for fans.
It's called Tenshi to Akuma, Angels and Demons. And it's by GR4 and BOYZ. Weren't they called Grian before?
Yeah, they rebranded. But a new OP, it always signals something, a shift in tone maybe for this part of the arc. Sets the stage.
Definitely. You got to wonder what the visuals will hint at. And like we said, that time slot change. Worth hitting again. Saturday night now.
And the old Sunday 9:30 slot. It's now taken by a show called To Be Hero X.
So it's a real shuffle. Again, makes you think about broadcast strategy, audience viewing habits, all that stuff.
Could be driven by competition, network decisions.
Yeah.
Lots of factors could be at play there. It's a significant move, any way you slice it.
And maybe the most noticeable change for longtime fans, a voice actor change.
Why, yes. For Frankie.
Subaru Kimura is taking over the role. For a character as, well, iconic and super as Frankie, that's huge news.
It really is. Voice actors become so tied to these characters over years, decades even. A change like this, it's noticeable. understandably significant for viewers.
Yeah, you get used to a certain voice.
But, these things happen sometimes, various reasons. It'll be interesting to see Kimura-san's take on Frankie, how he makes it his own, while, respecting the legacy.
True. Now, just as a quick reminder for anyone maybe jumping in the Egghead arc itself, it started airing way back in January 2024.
Right, and Hypermanga calls it one of the most exciting storylines in recent years.
High praise. And it really fits with Dr. Vegapunk's crazy future island and all the potential reveals. The anticipation for this continuation was, and is, massive.
Definitely. A futuristic setting, a genius scientist. It screams major plot developments, maybe secrets about the One Piece world finally coming out.
Okay.
That's why fans are so hyped, I think.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap the main points. One Piece anime, Egghead Part 2, it's back.
It is back with a new opening song.
Angels and Demons, right. A new Saturday night time slot.
Uh-huh. And a new voice for Frankie Subaru Kimura.
And all this after that recharge break where they even gave us that polished-up Fishman Island saga.
Yeah, it really shows the series isn't just coasting. It's actively evolving, changing things up even after all this time.
It points to a dynamic approach, keeping things fresh for this huge, enduring franchise.
Exactly. Adapting, trying to sustain that momentum, and maybe even broaden its reach.
So, okay, here's something to chew on maybe. You look at all this, the massive anticipation for Egghead, this new opening, the schedule shift, the voice change.
Mm-hmm. All these moving parts.
Right. What could it all mean collectively? Like, what might these shifts be signaling about where One Piece is heading long term? Is it just, a strategic refresh to keep the hype train going? Or could it hint at something deeper, something changing in how they make it? Or even where the story itself is ultimately taking us?
That's a really good question to ponder. I mean, yeah, it could just be smart adaptation. Keep the production healthy, respond to how people watch things now.
Makes sense.
But it's also possible, isn't it, that the Egghead arc itself, with all its potential for huge revelations about the world, maybe it demands a different approach. A change of pace, presentation, how they handle things. It definitely makes you think about the show's future legacy and how these changes play into that whole picture, how it stays connected to, well, everyone watching around the world.